Hello, Hello, Iranian peoples. Um, my name is Beth, and I'm an American. And like you, I've been sitting back listening to the news of what's going on in your country and the assassination of your general. I'm sorry about that. I know acts of war happen and such, but I don't think it was justified by the way that it was done. If he was killed on the battlefield, then that's a whole different kind of thing. Um, I'm sorry about that. Uh, Something kind of wild has occurred that I think y'all should know about because it's the very thing that you've been fighting for in a different realm. Um, as an American, I was sitting here watching the news like you guys, um, and I was distraught and distressed by everything that had happened. So I thought to myself, what in the world can I, as an American, sitting over here not knowing what the heck is going on over there, really, do to help the situation to prevent a World War III? So what I did was the only thing that I thought I could do was I reached out to your president and I tweeted him. I don't have his phone number, okay? Um, and in the process of tweeting to him, I let him know a little bit about me, and it seemed to make a connection. We made a connection in our conversation because y'all's hearts were on fire, and I totally understand. You know what I mean? Um, so I did what a lot of people were doing the night that I heard about Soleimani's killing, and I prayed in my own way, which is kind of the same and different as your way. Um, some people who prayed just as much as I did that night prayed for war, others prayed for not war, but I can guarantee most people who were praying about it were praying harder and deeper than they ever have in the past. So like I said, I put there's an old Southern saying that an ounce of prevention beats a pound of cure, and because America's leader is mental, and I believe he is under Putin's control, this was supposed to help Putin encroach on your lands a little bit more. So I reached out to your president and we made a connection. We made a connection for two reasons. First reason is because of my studies. I've done a lot of studies on the ancients, because in our Christian belief system over here, we always celebrate around Christmas time the three wise men who came from the East. Well, you guys are physically in the East and totally in the East of that story, so the wise men came from your all's area, whether it be Iran or Iraq currently. Back in the other days, it had different names. But anyway, so part of my studies for my life has been to study the Magi, but that also included, because I think of Jesus as being like a Magi. But my problem with the Bible in itself was that I could not understand what the heck all these old thoughts and processes were. So I spent my life trying to study what being a magi and being able to do these magic cool things was all about. And of course you can never find it in just one way. You have to absorb everything. So in my studies, what I had done was I looked at all of the ancient eras at that time, and I kind of put them into a muddled soup as to what everything was. And the more I studied, the more I learned, and there's more ways of looking at things than I had previously thought, which is cool. But anyhow, doing all that type of studying, it's going to affect you one way or another, and you learn certain things, and there's no way that you can not unlearn those things for the most part. Kind of like riding a bike, you're always going to know how to ride a bike. So because of my wisdom in learning things my way, and that's why I believe America is important, because without America becoming who America is, I would not have been able to study the way that I study. So because of that, and because I knew that most everybody in Iran and Iraq are Muslim, even though there's different fractions of Muslimness, I guess, kind of like Christianity, Protestants, Catholics, Methodists, blah, 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 it goes on and on. So anyhow, I reached out to him in a way that I figured Muslims would understand via their own bit of religion. Now, true, I have not studied Allah and the ways of the Muslim religion. I have looked into it, just like I'm sure you've kind of peeked in on Christianity every now and then, just to, find out what's up. So I knew in a little. There is one phrase that I really, really liked and kind of lived my life through my version of exploring things, that talks about the light of a candle. There's, according to the thing I read, there's 3 ways to understand a candle. First, you can have somebody tell you about the candle. So yay, you learned a new concept by what this guy says. But that doesn't mean that's exactly how you would process it. So if you saw the candle for yourself, that gives you a whole different perspective on what candlelight is. And then the third way was if you touch the candlelight, then you have a full grasp of understanding what the candlelight and the candle are. And I thought that was so cool to actually describe it that way, because everything in life could be learned in those similar fashions. But because I like that concept so well, I figured there should be a fourth to go with those 3 wonderful concepts. My thing was, I think you should become the light, the candlelight, not just observe it, but become it. So when I processed different things, I took it all in. And I've had different experiences, but I'm not going to go into detail right now, because right now things are such a confuddled mess right now that I can't. So that was step 1. Step 2 was, because I knew, like I said, President Rouhani was a Muslim, a devout Muslim, like most Muslims are. I mean, heck, y'all pray 5 times a day, whereas a Christian might pray once a week, some of them. You know what I mean? Y'all know who you are. Just saying. Your focus on religion is incorporated in everything that y'all do. So I talked to him about the ancients and the magi, and it's all there on the Twitter, because I believe in the light, and part of the light is speaking truth. So I'm speaking truth to you. Okay, so you can read everything that's there, but in my reaching out to your president, he heard me. He did not only hear me via my tweets, he could kind of hear me inside his head, in a way. I can't describe it for you what he felt, because that was his experience. But he did experience something, just as I experienced something on my end, because I've done it before with other people in other manners. So basically, what I've been able to discover from my studies of ancient belief systems and arenas and this, that, and the other goes back to new science that is discovering things about the mind and what we are capable of as humans. Now, some people could frame this as being an ESP type of a situation, but I see it more as a one language type of a situation. I was able to clear all hurdles with your president in his mind, in his soul, and his spirit, that words did not matter. Language barriers, that's what I was looking for. Language barriers didn't matter, because he understood what I was saying. So even though I don't he may speak English for all I know. I haven't researched the dude that much. I just now contacted him for the first time a couple days ago, all because we have an infected pimple as a president. So as I asked him not to fight with you, I ask you as Iranians not to fight with him. find a way to speak with each other. Have somebody represent all of you, a couple of you, to go and meet with the authorities there. I hate to say it because it's really annoying, but you need to live without America. America has not been very good to you in the past. We destroyed a democracy that y'all people voted for in 1953. As far as the plane crashes goes and y'all are concerned about, understand this. There was a plane that America shot down in 1988 that still hasn't apologized to this very day. They say it was the fog of war. This particular plane went down in the fog of war, but your government admitted to it. Now you can read that in my tweets too, because I asked him to admit the truth. The only way that you can, and I called him an Abba, because my understanding that's, it's a highly regarded father type figure, and all Abbas have to take responsibility. So it was extraordinarily difficult for him to actually come to admit, even though the United States hasn't admitted their fault in that plane crash. But we can sit here and play the blame game all we want, but it's not going to solve the situation as far as everything that's right now and at hand. Right now at hand, we need to not provoke the idiot in America, my leader. Thank you. Ugh, I'm sorry. I am so sorry. Really, I am. Anyhow, don't provoke him. Do not do anything, because he's going to use it as an excuse, and he's dying to use a nuclear weapon. He wants to wipe y'all out, and that includes your historical sites. He wants to wipe it clean. Okay, he's insane. He's dying to use the bomb because he can. So don't provoke him. Okay, I know y'all don't believe in me and don't know me and this, that, and the other, and that's cool, but that's just wisdom, dude. That's smartness. I'm trying to warn y'all that he is nutters, okay? Absolute nutters. And don't believe in Putin. Try and work with your country together on a whole. Iraq and Iran. I think you both should come together. And as far as Muslims with the Sunnis and the Shias, I don't know all the technical, intricate details, but what I do know is basically when Muhammad was here, Muhammad was the tree. He was the tree of life for all of yous and your understandings of religion and how a human should conduct themselves. Okay, so that's basically, you know what I mean? Basically. Well, after he passed, the two arms of the tree, the two branches of the tree, have been trying to kill each other off. Instead of growing with the tree, they're trying to strangle the tree. So that, I find that confusing. But again, they did that in Ireland on the Christian side, where they say the Protestants are better than the Catholics and the Catholics are better than the Protestants, and they're both using the same daggone book. So those kind of things just, they don't make a whole lot of sense to me. And I know that's your kind of thing and your struggles, and it's real, and I get that. But right now, you have to focus without the United States. You have to. We are battling something that is infectious, and it's everywhere. And you can see it in your own countries. We can see it here. Europe can see it where they're at. And I think a lot of that is to do with Putin, because he is an ex-KGB person. So he's not stupid. So I'm thinking that that's what he's doing. I don't know. I don't even know if this will reach a whole bunch of people, because y'all don't know me. I'm just an American. Or who's sitting down. But the way that I see it, as far as the stars that are lining up in the sky and everything that's going on, that's what you youth especially are feeling. And there's a lot of people that are expecting different things to happen. Some thought it was going to happen on 2012. And then others thought when the aligning of the stars was going to happen, that would bring about the change in the ways. Other people are saying other things. I think y'all are looking for somebody to come. Others are looking for the second coming of Christ. So everybody's looking to everybody else as to what the heck is going on in one fashion or another. And although this is wonderful to have this type of curiosity, it's also kind of tragic in a way, because then people go into little cliques of, well, it's, the second coming of Jesus that's coming, not the second Allah that's coming, or, everything's going to, Christians really hold hard to the fact that the world is going to blow up before Jesus Christ gets here. That's not what it says, people, but it's the interpretation. Okay, so the way that, let me break it down real simple from what I've understood of the Bible. Okay, first of all, let me say that, like I said, I did not study the Quran at all. And yes, there's the cigarette in my hand, so I don't follow Quranian ways, the Quran ways. I barely follow the American ways in some aspects, but that's okay. That's what being an American is all about. You're just whatever. So anyhow, in my understanding of Muhammad came, like, what, 550 AD? Okay, so that's basically 550 years after Jesus Christ supposedly came along and did his thing. Well, by that point, the Council of Nicaea in, I forget where the heck it is. Maybe it's in Nicaea. Playing at the Council of Nicaea, that was like 383 AD, where they made all the decisions of what was going to be in the Bible. That was where they said, these Gospels like Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John, all of those can go in, but we're going to throw out Timothy, Mary Magdalene, and all these others because there were so many around. So there's like 72 books or 100 books or 200 books, whatever, that they didn't put into the Bible, and they declared that to be canonical. Is that right? Is that how you say it? Well, whatever. It's in the book. So Muhammad came basically 200 to 300 years after this fact. Well, Muhammad touched into something that is extraordinary. Switch cameras because the other camera's battery died, which, it happens after you talk a lot, because you talk a lot. So anyway, like I was saying, when Muhammad came along, the Council of Nicaea had already voted for whatever is going to go into the Bible, and then Muhammad came along basically 200 to 300 years after this happened with the Nicaeans. And what most likely, in my mind, took place was Muhammad had a spiritual experience, and this spiritual experience is something that all humans can experience, but there are certain things that you have to do in order to experience these things. Makes sense, you don't make apple pie with no apples. You know what I mean? That's kind of a common sense factor. So anyway, Muhammad was trying to teach the people off of the teachings that he learned from Abraham's family and the Torah and all of that. Well, Jesus was also somebody like Muhammad in the aspect that Jesus was trying to educate the people at the time of these are the things, and this is the way, and this is how you can obtain what is told in the Torah. And the Torah is a whole nother set of examples. So when you look back in history, it's kind of like Jesus and Muhammad both were trying to assist the people during their time as to what to do to obtain that one true thing that people knew was there. So as this was going along, and as history has gone on, and so much fighting and so much blood, that people forget what the heck the whole point was in the first place. Anyway, as I told President Rouhani, things are changing now, and there's nothing anybody can do. It's going to happen, and you can either learn or you can just kind of go, what? I don't know. Your choice. But anyway, and because of my research, I ran across, I believe he was Sufi. I'm not positive, but I found a video, and I'll try and find the link, to a gentleman who lived in Egypt, and he was an Egyptian. I don't know if he was a true priest or not, but he was one who knew the secrets, some of the secret teachings of ancient Egypt, because there is still an oral tradition of the things that they used to do back then. Well, anyhow, he came up with this, or excuse me, he educated all of us on an aspect that's actually kind of really cool. And what it is, yeah, I'm just switching the camera light, see if that works out better, and looking into the sun because it's starting to set. But anyway, he says there's a 5 cycle. Everything is related to nature. And that's how we get the word nature, is from the neters, which is what they use to describe what we interpret as gods. So like the god Thoth, it's not really the god Thoth, it's the neter, the aspect, the nature of Thoth. Anyhow, like I was saying, he was saying there's 5 stages to the day. Like y'all pray 5 times a day. There is an actual whole concept that ancient religion focuses around, which is the 5 stages of the day. You have the morning, you have the afternoon. It's basically like Ra, Sa, U, Noon, Atum. And I think those are the 5 stages of the day, starting with the morning, the breaking of the sun, and then it goes to the fall, when the sun goes on deep into the west, into the dark, the duat. So anyhow, those are the 5 stages of the day, but that also represents the 5 stages of many things. And one of the things it also represents is their 5 stages of humanity, not just one human, but all humans, in that they're right now we are at the end of the darkness. There's like a I forget how long it is. It's like a 2,000, 3,000, maybe even 5,000 year time frame in which humanity is supposed to forget things. So we have forgotten things, but it takes a long time to forget things, so that the resurrection of our ways, the knowledge will come back to us at the beginning, at the birth, at what it was deemed like daybreak in the morning was called Ra. Was it Ra first? Or was it Sa? I think it's Sa. Sa was first. Sa brings on Ra. Sa Ra, Sarah. It's a whole way of trying to write down a story to help people in the time of the awakening understand what's going on. Rouhani may not put this out there, but it's because of this way of thinking of mine that I was able to get in touch with Rouhani in his head, because I connected with what's called the pineal gland. But anyhow, that's what Muhammad knew. He did that inward prayer. He touched his pineal gland. He activated it. He was able to see things that other people don't see, but it doesn't make it any less real. That's how I see it. Now, whether y'all see it that way or you just think I'm a freaking lunatic, then that's okay too, because that's not uncommon. But this awakening is happening. This is what's going on. And I'm trying to explain in simplistic terms, because it's complicated, that you're going to know that these things are happening. Everybody's going to be affected. And if we survive long enough from this infected pimple, the time that everybody has been looking for in one way or another, it's here. If it wasn't here, I wouldn't be able to talk to President Rouhani the way I did. He would not have listened to me. Why would he listen to me? I'm just an American tweeting to him, I was just,
he listened to me, and that's because of my knowledge of studying your ancient history in my own American way. I was not forced to do it because some preacher or teacher was out there doing it. I was putting the pieces together myself. So the connection that I made with President Rouhani within his mind and soul is the same type of connection that Muhammad understood. It's the same kind of connection that Jesus Christ was trying to teach people. It's all the same thing. It's just that nobody understands it anymore because that part of information was supposed to be lost. And it was. There were, it's like there's an old tale from the Greeks that talk about shards of Aphrodite. And that's one of the things that the Masons, there you go. Whew, the Templars, that's one of the things they were looking for was the shards of Aphrodite. And Aphrodite is love. So that means that basically if you take love, you smash it into a million pieces, you have to go around and you have to find that love. And in order to find that love, you actually have to go places that you never thought you would ever go. Never in my day growing up, because just like you, having been heard horrible things about America, some of which is true, but you've been hearing horrible things. We've heard horrible things over here about you guys. So there really was no communication between either Americans or Iraqians. And, Allah bless you. You still love Americans, and that's awesome. And Americans are beginning to wake up to the fact that, our government has done some really shady shit since 1953, and it keeps on going. Every time an American president is in a tift or turmoil, what does he do? He goes over and he bombs Iran and Iraq to make everybody, ooh, let's go to war, let's be stupid. Hey, and all you people are doing is trying to protect your way of being and wanting to carry on, man. And that's why I reached out to President Rouhani. I needed to let him know that what he believed and what y'all believe is actually something that is a real thing and it's coming true. So if you could please do me a favor and try and keep the anger down about your president at this moment. I don't know all the ins and outs and this and that, but he just had a miraculous experience. He is not accustomed to this. Y'all aren't accustomed to this. If I started coming to your head and started shaking around or whatever, you'd be tripping out too, and you wouldn't have anybody to discuss it with because nobody else is going to believe you. Again, I don't even know if President Rouhani will put this out there or not because it does sound so freaking nutty. But for the love of your people, for the love of all Iraqi and Irani people, for the love of all of my people, the soldiers that would have to come over, for the love of the world itself, you guys need to hear this. And so there you go. Anyway, peace and love be to you, peace and love be to me, peace and love be to the entire world. Let's change things, let's rearrange things, Let's not follow Putin's script. Let's not follow the infected pimple in the White House's script because they're both messed up, dude. It has nothing to do with you. Yeah, you guys can go out and kill yourselves just like Americans can go out and kill yourselves, but it doesn't change a daggone thing. Ugh, they have no honor. None. Anyway, peace and love out to y'all. It's 2020. Let's do a little hindsight reflection and let's get this shit right from now on, okay? Let's move forward. You got to do it without the Americans, though, until we can get rid of the infected pimple, because otherwise we're going to ooze all that hatred all over you, and you've had to deal with that enough. Get together with your governments, talk to each other, lay out plans that you both can compromise to, You've killed each other enough. Don't do it anymore. Not even you, President Rouhani. Not any of the Shaws. I done warned you last time. It's not me that's doing this. I'm coming to you because I'm supposed to. I could sit here in my little house in America and not call out nothing, not say nothing. Let you go ahead and play Putin's game and play Donald Trump's game. And it's what good does that do anybody? So yeah, I'm sacrificing my anonymity to come to you to tell you this. So please sit down with your people, have a conversation, get America out of your life, get Putin out of your life, get Saudi Arabia out of your life. If y'all can do things that are self-sufficient, yes, that's going to require some things from each and every one of you. But if you can become self-sufficient without any of us interfering in your world, that would be good for you. That would be good for you. And you could show the rest of the world how it's done. Because right now, everyone is infected with the same thing our infected pimple is infected with, and a lot of that comes from Putin. These are the times, dudes and dudettes. These are the times. We either unite or we're going to fall, and Putin is going to win everything. So, yeah. Anyway, I love you guys. Take care of yourselves. Please, peace be upon all of us. Peace. That's all I want. Peace. Peace is good. Yes. And it can be profitable too, if you do it right. Love you guys. Peace.